Hello, hello. This is Sasha Sabbath, and we are doing another interview in Sasha and Friends. I am so happy to introduce to you my new friend, Yvonne Chotzen. Yvonne and I are doing a course together, and when I found out about Yvonne's history and what she's doing now, trust me, you're going to love hearing where she's been, where she's going, and who she brings along with her. So, hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Sasha. This is a delight. I'm so excited to get to be with you and your tribe today. Thank you for having me as your guest.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, I'm just going to dive right in and ask you, how did you get to choose what you are focusing on now in your business, given where you've been? And what I would love is for you to tell our listeners, where have you been? You know, the training, the skills, the orientation that you built your skill set on, and like a train moving towards a destination, how it arrived to what you're focusing on today. So please just go.
Well, feel free to interrupt me at any point with any questions that might interest your audience. I have a very fun and circuitous story that started in a federal courtroom in Honolulu, Hawaii. And as a federal public defender, my job was to humanize my clients to the jury. Because in court, what you have to do as a defender is one thing. You don't have to prove that your client's innocent. You have to make the government prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And what I found with these very powerful prosecutors, most of them were 6 feet tall and had booming voices, that I could not compete. I could not do my job unless I found my own very unique, very me way of communicating, which was personal, which was to lean into the jury, which was to, instead of trying to compete with their powerful, booming voices in these huge courtrooms, as federal courts are, that if I almost dropped my voice to a whisper, people would move in, lean towards me. And from that intimacy, if you will, that connection of energy I was able to create with the jury, I could wrap that energy around the person sitting next to me, who was usually an indigent person who had gotten, frankly, into some kind of a mess. And if I could help people see that, yeah, that could be my brother, or yeah, I know somebody that happened to, or I got a DUI once. It's like, thank God it didn't ruin my life, but it could have. If I could help people identify with who my client was by telling their story, in the only part of a trial you're allowed to do that, which is the closing argument, that could give the juror the possibility of reasonable doubt. I drove the prosecutors crazy because they would put on this great case, and then I would have this enormously high acquittal rate because they were given the opportunity to allow this person at my side to have a second chance.
Mm.
But the moment came when I felt like, after a decade of doing this work, and some of them were very serious cases, one day I had the opportunity, when I was just yearning for, why can't I do this work that takes months in a law library, when the part that I live for, the part that I feel that I've been put here on the earth to do is the story, the time when I can tell my story, humanize my client, as I said to the jury. And so I was longing for that opportunity. I was practicing, as I said, in Hawaii. And in between court sessions, I would swim this channel called the Ala Channel. There's the main source of socializing in Honolulu is all these sports. I ran marathons, I did triathlons and lots of swimming. I would sometimes come back from a swim with this feeling as I did the strokes down the channel on my lunch hour. I mean, oh, there's something more for me. And it was this yearning. And one morning, as the duty attorney, I came in and my wish was answered. It was answered in a controversial murder case. I walked in to the holding cell to meet the client. You never know who you're going to get when you're a federal public defender. You're the duty attorney. It might be a humdrum case, but it might be a case that has the press lined up outside, like this case was. I met a woman named Kathy Brown, a huge pile of blonde ratted hair, buxom woman, and she was enraged. It was a triangle love affair, a child's kidnapping, and a murder. That was wrapped up in this case. And it was so controversial that we were shipped to the mainland. She went in handcuffs with the US Marshals. I went in economy, which is what federal defenders can afford. And there we were a few days later in a federal courtroom. And all of a sudden, boom, boom, all these people were pouring into the courtroom, one after another. The doors were banging. The judge was irritated, and he said to the bailiff, "Bar the door. There's standing room only. I won't stand for distractions like this in my courtroom." But it's very rude when you're a federal defender to turn your back on the judge. I had no idea what was going on. So on my legal pad, I wrote a question to the prosecutor. Why on a Wednesday morning in Los Angeles is a little case from Hawaii causing this hubbub in the courtroom? And he wrote back, scribbling, "They're all Hollywood producers. They want the rights to your client's life story." And at that moment, I had this flash that this could cause the turn in my destiny that I'd been yearning for. I jumped up, "Your Honor, recess." I don't even know what excuse I gave, but a little while later, I took the back elevator. The marshals took her down. I walked into her holding cell. In the basement of every federal building, the US Marshals have holding cells. And there was Kathy Brown at the table in the lockup. They put the attorney in and lock you both in. I was locked in with my client. And the US Marshals had given her a single white napkin. And on the napkin was positioned a bright red apple. That's all we had. In my rush to have that recess, the only thing I had with me was a single pen. And I said, "Kathy, there's all these like Hollywood producers. They're like circling. They're like vultures. They want your life rights. What do you want to do?" And she took that napkin and she grabbed the pen out of my hand. And I still have chills when I think of that moment. She wrote on that napkin, "Yvonne Chotzen is my producer." And she slid the napkin back to me. And I looked at that napkin and I thought, what does a producer even do? I don't even know. But 3 days later, I was in a room at NBC network, at that time, the most powerful network. And I was surrounded by all these executives, mostly men. There were about 15 people in the room. They had on mostly black clothes. Of course, the jeans were Gucci jeans that cost $300. Black t-shirts, black jeans, that was the uniform. But I knew I was talking to people who had a lot of power. And it was not that different from the power I knew that federal judges had, except I'd only been arguing those cases. And I thought to myself, how different can it be to pitch a story than tell an argument to a jury? And so I took a deep breath and I plunged in and I thought, if I mess up in federal court, which is why you spend 6 months getting ready for every trial, day in, day out, hours and hours, if you mess up, somebody can go to jail for the rest of their life. Their freedom is gone, potentially forever. That's the burden. And I thought to myself, it's a movie. It's a television series. It's a mini series. If they say no, no one goes to jail. So take a deep breath. I went into the bathroom and I did like power posing that you like see, like I can do this. And I took some deep breaths. I went back in and I told her story. And they didn't say no. They said yes. And not only was it a movie, it was a mini series. It was 4 hours of drama, and it starred Martin Sheen and Patty Duke. And overnight, I was a Hollywood producer. And today I'm on my 14th movie. It's in the script writing phase now. This week I'm pitching my 15th. And what I learned is that every couple years, there's a writer's strike or an actor's strike, and all the productions, the stories, the life rights you've tied up, the scripts you've had written are killed, and you
Oh,
have to start over. And
oh,
the last one happened, it was 12, I think 11 and a half months and 16 days long. And projects that I'd had in the production cycle for years were killed because, of course, the networks use it as an opportunity to clean house, if you will. As an independent producer, you only get paid when the cameras roll.
mm,
I have 3 kids in college. I'm a late bloomer. And I knew that I had to figure out another way in these gap times to monetize my life. And I asked myself, well, what's the gift I have? What can I give people that's a skill after a decade of telling stories in the courtroom and now on my 14th movie? And I should add, as the oldest of 8 brothers and sisters who I had to put
oh.
to sleep with stories, it's a no-brainer. I'm a born storyteller, and I can teach and guide people to do that in such simple strategies. It's so fun. It's so compelling. You can walk into a network meeting, or you can take a pulpit, or you can do an elevator pitch. If your story, your signature story, is at your fingertips, at your lip tips, it is your most potent tool to attract your right tribe, to mesmerize people, and even what I found, to unleash your entrepreneurial potential. So
Mm,
that's the journey I began. And it has brought me beautiful clients, people on journeys of transformation that have such gifts to give. And what is surprising is that a lot of times people come to me thinking that They want the story, their signature story, to be used for one thing, but when they begin, it unleashes truly the seeds to their own destiny. We all have a unique destiny. We all have a calling that we come in with. And as we excavate our story in 3 simple steps that I do when I work with people, find your story, then design it, and then the skills of delivery. So you have a bold presence, which I had to hone over years in the courtroom. All of this simple, fun, exhilarating. That's my work.
Mhm. Hmm. Well, what occurs to me is the level of influence you have over people and the sense of responsibility and the precision that's needed. If you are an integritous person, of course you are, and a heartfelt person, which of course you are. And so the stakes are high in your life. The stakes are very high. And that's kind of like when somebody needs to throw a dart into a bullseye, or a sniper needs to make a shot, or a person needs to win a case. That requires such a powerful inner alignment. And so that's what I see in you in all of this, is that your natural, yes, it was honed, but your natural riveting ability to send that arrow into the bullseye under tremendous pressure, where most people can't do that unless they're trained, unless they're trained. So can you give us some stories of, because now you are a coach. So tell us about what you're doing now with clients, and maybe one or two of your, I don't want to say favorite, but case studies or testimonials or experiences of maybe two clients where the transformation was just so radical. Does that make sense the way I'm phrasing it?
Sure. I can tell you about Dr. Julie. Dr. Julie is a very demure, petite woman, and she knew that I'd been a litigator, and she knew that I was making movies in Hollywood, and she shyly came to me as one of my first clients when I put it out there that I was ready to support people in their bold presence speaking journeys. And she said, "I'm too shy. I'm an introvert. I cannot even tell a story about my work or share my research or share an anecdote from what happened in clinic today with my colleagues at the brown bag weekly lunches we have." We started working together, and I can tell you, in a little over a year, Dr. Julie is published a book. She speaks internationally. She
Mm.
just got an award for a
Oh,
presentation she gave, and she's been in the process these last 3 months of negotiating for her own holistic television show. It's
yeah,
so exciting.
beautiful, beautiful. So what would a person be aware that they were looking for where they would seek your services out?
I love that question because it requires that someone would know that they have within them something they need to be pushed over the proverbial cliff to be able to fly to, but they don't quite have the wherewithal to take that leap themselves. These seem to be the people who gravitate towards me. Every one of my clients has just bloomed and been able to tap in to their creative essence. One person, a la Joe Dispenza, is bringing her spontaneous healing of her own self to the world. She went from being in a wheelchair to now being a bodybuilder and a weightlifter. So she's taking that journey that you can heal yourself, you can cure yourself to the world. Such a needed message, and people are gravitating to her. Another client, for example, was longing to get her book into the world. She's a virtual physical therapist, one of the few out there from what we can tell. And she has a unique ability to look at you, look at your body on Zoom, and know what the unique exercise is that you need. And we were able to put that in a series of videos. Her book contract's almost done. She's looking for a publication date here in the next 6 weeks. Just such exciting growth, helping people be their best selves, not only attract their true and right client, but they are attracting high ticket clients. It's really quite remarkable and exhilarating to help people launch their journeys in this way. And it starts with your story.
Yeah.
What's that story that you came in with that has the ability to launch your entrepreneurial potential in so many different ways that maybe you don't even anticipate?
Mm-hmm.
I think the experience, like your experience, Sasha, that you shared when we spoke the other direction and I was interviewing you, of at your daddy's funeral where you're giving the eulogy, you see him in the audience and you have a vision that launches your life in this amazing way of your intuitive work. I found myself with a woman who was charged with murder, was charged with kidnapping, and was charged with being part of a triangle love affair that she had initiated. You see what happened in that seminal court case that launched this whole journey for me was that she had been in a love affair with another Marine while her husband was away at sea. He had an assignment, came home unexpectedly with tummy trouble, walked into their military housing and caught her in bed. I mean, it had been, I think he'd been gone for 22 months straight. It had been a grueling time. And yes, she transgressed. She admits that fully. And she was caught by him, and her lover and her husband got into a fight, and her husband was killed. His mother, her mother-in-law, lived in a small town in Alabama and was very powerful and wealthy in that town. And she convinced the family court judge there to, because of the adultery, not only seek but win custody of Christy, Kathy's little 5-year-old daughter. Not just custody, but custody that said she could never see her daughter again. And so when Kathy pushed that napkin across the table to me and said, "You're my producer," the next thing she said was, "Get all the money you can for my little daughter, so that she knows for the rest of her life how deeply I love her. What had happened was that Kathy had gone from the military base on Hawaii, where the murder had taken place, the killing of her husband in that fight. And she had put on a wig, a black wig, to cover her blonde hair. And with her sister, had waited after months of being unable to see her little daughter. She'd waited for the one time in the year when the whole town turned out, and that was the 4th of July picnic in the town park. And she hid with her sister behind some bushes. And sure enough, little Christy walked out chasing a ball, and
Oh,
she grabbed her baby, ran to the waiting car, and took off on what became a 7-state chase when she was caught and apprehended by the FBI. And that was how I met her, and our fates interacted in that jail cell that day. And though I never was able to get her out of jail, out of prison, I did get her time greatly reduced, and I did get money for her daughter, Christy. So that story that launched my career as a movie producer and gave her some solace. Do you see how a story can change a life?
what
That's what happened.
what I see, what I see is how higher forces worked with you for love, for love, a mother's love, the truth of the bond between the mother and the daughter. And we all know the domino effects that can happen when a child doesn't know how loved it is by their parent. I mean, it completely puts a monkey wrench into their entire life at times. You know, the self-confidence, the self-esteem, the sense of self-worth, and God knows whatever else. I'm sorry about the noise.
No problem.
Okay.
Don't hear it.
You don't hear it?
Do
Okay,
not.
good. Okay. The garbage truck's out there.
Don't hear it.
So that's what I see. And I see you as being such an instrument of just basic human condition issues. And so I'm going to jump to another emerging blossoming of your impact on people. So here you are. Well, first of all, how did these people find out about you? I know about Kathy, you went through the legal system, but now how do your clients find out about you to hire you?
They can reach out to me at a very easy way to find me, which is Yvonne, my name, at YvonneChotzen.com. And if they go there, they will find my website and a free offer, a complimentary offer, $297, invaluable offer, but complimentary at the very top of my website when it opens to click on, where if they give me their name, give me your name, your phone number, your email, and let's have a discovery call and find out what your blockbuster story is that can unlock the keys to your entrepreneurial potential, perhaps the seeds to your destiny.
Beautiful. I'll talk more about what you have there. Yes. And I'll put this information in the Facebook thread, but for those who are listening to it and might not have a visual access, could you spell your email address, the spelling of your name?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yvonne at YvonneChotzen.com is YVONNE, Yvonne at repeat the name Yvonne, Yvonne Chotzen, Yvonne, C for cat, HOT for hot, ZEN for Zen. Yvonne at Yvonne Chotzen, CHotZen.com.
Great.
Very
Now,
simple.
yeah, now what I also want to know is, given what's going on in our country and in the world, and again, this is a politics-free zone. This has nothing to do with parties or anything. This has to do with human beings treating other human beings and the life that is going to happen or is not going to happen. So if you were to now go up into your spiritual higher self, soul purpose, higher vision of the impact and the importance of what your unique tool set or your unique impact potential is on people, what do you feel are the important influences that you feel people would really benefit from at this time of our evolution?
I think it all comes back to the story, the unique story in each person's life. Because if we respect, first of all, if we excavate it so we really know what it is, that story is the key to our passion, our reason for being here. So if we respect that unique story that is our journey, we came to live and to give in the world, automatically what happens is you have a sense of community with those about you, with those around you. I truly have a hunger to know people's stories. Why? Why do I have that hunger? It's because each story is a key to their unique life journey and what they bring, what their gift is they came in to give. So I believe that if I can help people find that and craft it and deliver it with a bold presence, some people know what their story is, but they don't have confidence, or they speak like this, or they don't have eye contact. All those skills that you have to be a dynamic, charismatic speaker with presence, so that you walk into a room and your power, your authenticity, your expert authority precedes you with energy. That is teachable. And that, if combined with knowing and finding and speaking your story, makes people emissaries of light in the world. Emissaries of light. It's energy that can go through doors and space and time. And it comes from knowing that you are a channel for potency, for giving your gift, for spreading your seeds that you are meant to deliver. And it starts with your voice. It starts with your voice chakra, your heart chakra, opening up and giving your gift, whether it's the entrepreneurial space, or as I said, whether you're taking a pulpit, or whether you meet somebody in the elevator, you are speaking your gift, and that comes through your story. And so I help people with all the phases of it, to discover it, to design it so that it feels like you're giving your gift, speaking it. As I said, one of my clients is a complete introvert. She's a little tiny woman. And now she's taking international stages and getting a holistic television show. You have your own unique way, which is perfect for you. It's very symbiotic with your work, Sasha, and a different way that you help people access through intuition. It's the story channel. Once it's opened, and once people have their posture and are willing to let their energy impact the world and move it into the spaces that they go, community and connection and collaboration will happen and change will come.
I completely understand what you're saying. And the part of what you're saying that has embedded into it as a silent precursor is that people are valuable. People and their lives matter. People are equal in value. There is no such thing as one person's life being less important, less valuable, less contributory than another person's life. And built into what you do, Yvonne, is like a silent whisper, but it's a scream that says, I declare that everybody's story is worth hearing because everybody's life matters. And anybody who is opposed to that and projects anything less than that is off the mark. And that's one of the things that I really love about what you're doing, is because that's ground zero. You start at ground zero, which is the person's life, their story, what happens to them, and their value to the greater whole is already built in at hello. You know, very beautiful.
Very beautiful overstatement and summation of exactly where our work can change the world.
Yes, and I you know, depending upon your intuition, you might slip that in there every now and then about FYI, ladies and gentlemen, nobody's life is less important. Nobody's life is less valuable. Nobody's life is less of the contribution of a thriving humanity. So now listen to this. You know, it's my New Yorker coming out here. So let's see what else you got here. You've got that. Now, you talked about people contacting you and the $97 value talk with you, which would be so powerful. I can just imagine how healing those conversations could be, because sometimes people, I would say maybe even most of the time, if I could be so bold, we don't take the time to really reflect unless we're in a course, you know, unless we're in a writing course or a marketing course. So that's one thing. And then you also have your 3 simple strategies to your bold presence. That's on your website too, correct?
Yes, that's a free gift that is available to anyone who wants it to download for free. No phone call, nothing necessary. Just also put your information in, and I will send you 3 powerful tips to your bold presence as a speaker and a storyteller. And
Beautiful.
they're very simple. Yeah.
Yvonne, what else would you like to say as closing arguments? What else would you like to say in closing?
Closing pitch. We all love movies. There's nothing more delicious than being swept into another world by a movie. And if you honor your story and realize that it can be as delicious, as potent, as compelling as your favorite Hollywood movie, that's the juiciness of having your story honed, articulated, and ready to share in the world as an entrepreneur. It will attract new clients. It will make you mesmerizing when you walk into your PTA meeting or any meeting. Honor that part of you that maybe you've never brought to the fore. Give it a chance. It's exciting, it's creative, it can be uncomfortable, but it's exhilarating every time. Come and work with me, find your story. I would be honored. Yvonne at YvonneChotzen.com. Come and play.
Mm, mm. Well, everyone, she's a healer, isn't she? Our Miss Yvonne is a healer. Well, I don't really have anything else to ask or say. That was a
Thank you. What a beautiful opportunity, and your questions were great. And if anyone wants to actually see that mini series, it just came into the public domain. It's on Prime Video, and it's called A Matter of Justice. And it stars Martin Sheen and Patty Duke. Just click on Prime Video, put in A Matter of Justice, and you can actually see the Kathy Brown story brought to life.
beautiful. Thank you for adding that. I'll get that, if you could put that in the chat also, so that I can add it to our Facebook thread. But,
Sure, that would be fun.
otherwise, so you can go ahead and do that as I close this off. So everybody, what I want to say to you is thank you for being part of another Sasha and Friends interview series. And just know that we're living in very, very, very potent times. And therefore, anything, any resource that you get placed in front of you on your soul purpose path, in this case, Yvonne, please know that all of it is being brought to you, is being magnetized to you by your higher guides, by your intuition, so that you can build yourself as a treasure, as the treasure that you are. So that as you go out into your business, into your personal life, go grocery shopping, getting gas at the gas station for your car, remember that you are still impacting people in ways that you do not know. And the more you know your story, such as what Yvonne is suggesting, the more you can own and integrate and therefore radiate the beauty and the value that you are. And so on that note, everybody have a blessed day. Goodbye, Yvonne. Much love out there. It's needed right about now. It's needed. Bye, everybody. Mwah. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.